We all know mounts are hard locked to Path of Fire. You cannot use them if you do not own the expansion. Mounts have become even a core part of map design, forcing them to be both bigger and suitable for mounts. When a new expansion releases, people will be able to own Expansion 3 without owning Path of Fire. Assuming the situation stays as it is, the new maps cannot be designed around mounts since not everybody has them. No one should be forced to buy Path of Fire to enjoy Expansion 3 according to RealNet's personal policy. Now before people jump into the comments and draw a comparison to Heart of Thorns, Heart of Thorns' features weren't as loved as mounts, apart from maybe gliding, and were not applicable anywhere outside of Heart of Thorns. There are a couple of different ways they could go about it, all presenting problems of their own. The first option would be to make you unlock the Path of Fire mounts in Expansion 3. While this is a very simple solution, it is not in line with their general policy of keeping expansions reasonably self-contained and unique. There are a couple of reasons why I feel as though this is not a proper solution. First one being that mounts were Path of Fire's selling point. Adding them to Expansion 3 devalues Path of Fire itself. The second reason is that ArenaNet would have to make you attain the old mounts in an organic way in the new expansion. How do they fit in the world? How do the unlocks work? How do we make the same masteries applicable? The third reason is that adding them to expansion number 3 takes a huge amount of development time that could instead be spent working on new and interesting expansion 3 related features. Now they would be able to simply have you unlock all of the core Path of Fire mounts instantly upon entering expansion 3, as the commander supposedly has all the mounts unlocked story-wise. This however sounds very lazy and boring. So, to my knowledge, there is no feasible way to bring the Path of Fire mounts over to expansion number 3. But what other options are there? One very simple solution would be to simply take the hit and design the expansion 3 maps with no Path of Fire mounts in mind. What kind of problems could this possibly present? Well, a problem would be the map size. Considering mounts are not a key component in the new maps, they have the option to play with some smaller scale maps again. On one hand, this is great, right? It allows them to develop more maps as each one is smaller in scale. The problem arises when people who do have the Path of Fire mounts come into these new maps and make them feel very small. Working on the assumption that at least 80% of Expansion 3 buyers also own Path of Fire, this is going to make the maps feel rather low quality due to their limited scale. Another problem that arises is the accessibility that mounts offer. ArenaNet has to make sure people can't just bypass everything, as you see in the core game and Heart of Thorns to a lesser extent. Not paying proper attention to the Path of Fire mounts might cause serious progression issues in Expansion 3. Imagine people with a Griffin, completing lots of challenges that require an Expansion 3 only player weeks of work to get. People would feel gimped. Well, fine. These previous options didn't work. But what about option number 3? We have stated that bringing Path of Fire mounts over would either be too much work and a lazy experience, or not thinking about them causing design issues. Option number 3 would be the total blocking of Path of Fire mounts. As long as you are in these maps, you are unable to use your Path of Fire mount. I don't think I have to tell you what this means, but I will do it anyway because that's the way I roll. People want to use their mounts. They have grown used to their mounts. Remember what it was like doing map completion on foot? If you started after Path of Fire released, this is unknown territory. Yes, I know, more dedicated players, me included, actually prefer having to explore a bit more and not skipping everything with a mount. Let's face it though, the majority of the Guildwars 2 community just wants to be able to get wherever they want, whenever they want, as quick as they want. This means they want to be able to use their previously attained mounts in the new maps. Another problem with this is that you need to keep a selling point for Path of Fire. Would a person buy Path of Fire for its mounts when the newest content cannot be played with them? Why not just pick up Expansion 3 and see from there? There is a pretty decent chance said new player will quit the game before ever buying a second expansion. Also, talking about selling point, what about gemstone mount skins? I am fairly confident that mount skins account for a huge portion of ArenaNet's profit. Why would an expansion 3 only player be enticed by skins released for mounts they don't even need? ArenaNet would never shoot themselves in the foot like this. They sure as hell won't stop releasing new Path of Fire mount skins. Okay guys, 3 down, but I do have one more option for you. This has got to be the one that works, right? Well, we cannot move, remove, or forget about the mounts. What option do we have left? Well, replace them. Have ArenaNet create a new environment in which the old mounts cannot be used due to some lore reason. Cannot breathe underwater, cannot deal with the altitude, a new kind of magic is making them sick, or whatever lore justification they come up with. This allows them to develop new mounts for the new area. Well, I know you're waiting for me to list my problems, but honestly, this is the option probably easiest to agree with. Let's compare this option to the previous ones. Okay, yes, you cannot use the old mounts in the new area, but hey, you do get new mounts. Path of Fire keeps its unique selling point, while expansion 3 gets one as well. As long as they are different enough, they remain somewhat valuable on their own. Maps can be built fully around new mounts. Skill, traversability, and mastery gating can be kept intact as they stand on their own. The gem store problem has been somewhat solved, as ArenaNet can start selling mount skins for their new lineup, while still selling mount skins for Path of Fire mounts. Even though there is a chance players won't own both, they have a larger selection to reach a larger potential audience. So, having covered all 4 options, I do want to state that I am not saying these are the only options. There are other ways ArenaNet can work on expansion 3 that totally deviate from mounts. They can add player housing, or fishing, or ships, or whatever as a replacement feature for mounts. This video has mainly been created to highlight the potential issues that ArenaNet might be running into when designing expansion 3 and to spark discussion as to what the best course of action would be. Having said that, I'd love to hear your opinion on this subject. Do you agree with my proposed option 4? Do you prefer one of the other 3? Or do you have an opinion that I haven't touched upon? Please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, and I'd love to have a bit of discussion. Have a nice day, guys.